Welcome to the real Nitty Gritty, where baby boomers share stories, wisdom, and a few laughs along the way. Elle McLeod is your host, inviting you to join candid conversations that celebrate our journeys, lessons learned, and the timeless values that bind us. So be sure to like, subscribe, and share, and click the notification icon. Whether you're reminiscing about the good old days or navigating the present, this podcast is your space to connect, reflect, and enjoy the ride.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to the real nitty gritty. Glad to see that you could make it. I'm so happy that you joined us today. We have a good show planned for you. We're going to be talking about family traditions, not in the sense that you think, maybe a little bit, but we're going to get down to the real nitty gritty. But before we jump in, I want you to get comfortable. I want you to be relaxed. Put your feet up, sit in your favorite chair, and grab your favorite drink. And we're going to get to it. So, family tradition, it's what roots us in the family. It's what bonds us. We have connections from the family traditions that we've learned over a period of time from the silent generation, which are our parents. So it's at the heart of what defines us. You know what? How many of you guys remember going over to grandma's house for Sunday dinner? Or either on 4th of July, it's the same uncle that shoots the fireworks every single time. You know, you might be upset, but when you look back on it, those are memories and they were good memories. You know, that's where our connection and our bonds and our foundation comes from. I remember a quick story. Uh, we were having some sort of get together at my aunt's house, and she asked me to bring the mac and cheese. I didn't want to bring it, but out of obedience, I did. So I bring the mac and cheese, big, large tray. And when I got there, another cousin of mine, she brought macaroni and cheese too. So when my aunt looked at them, she told me my macaroni and cheese was too dry. And then she looked at my cousin's macaroni and cheese and she said it was too soupy. So I don't know what she did. Maybe she mixed them together. I don't eat macaroni and cheese because I don't like cheese. So I don't know what she did. But I know for that, a new tradition was started, which was not to ask me to bring a food dish. From that point on, I was on paper goods and I was fine with that. Just a little quick story. So, those are the things that I remember from childhood, you know, that brought us together and all of the family laughing and joking and having a good time. Now, one of the things that I remember that I actually wanted to bring up, how many people or how many families can go back and remember recipes from great great grandma and they've been passed down generation to generation to generation. family traditions, right? Um, the cookouts, potlucks, the family game night, whatever it is, the cars, the dominoes, listening to good music, all of those are family traditions until we get to the point where it's not so fun. No matter what type of function you're trying to have, you have that one that always is something not quite right and something gets started, and you just got to tiptoe around that person because you want everything to be nice and you don't want, any mess. But sometimes it pops off. Now, the difference between when the silent generation was around, again, our parents, uh, they nipped that in the bud real quick. And I think it has a lot to do with the way they were raised, and they just wasn't going to have all of that nonsense. And so we kind of grew up the same way, fight one week and we back together the next week. If anybody was salty, you really wouldn't know about it because the adults weren't having it. They wasn't having it between adults, and they definitely weren't having it with the kids. Now, fast forward, we getting a little bit older, and now the silent generation isn't here. So now it's the baby boomers, kind of like a changing of the guard, and we're in charge. And I think that's where the problem starts with us. Doggone baby boomers. I don't know. I think it might be how we were raised. And, our parents were kind of strict to the point. Well, I know with my parents, I used to mumble all the time. When I have kids, I'm not going to do this. And when I have kids, I'm not going to treat them like that. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. So there goes the problem. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Okay, our Gen X kids, they didn't experience any of the things we did, like the get together and coming together for the potlucks and the family and everything. And I really partly blame the baby boomers because we didn't encourage that. Like we didn't have no choice. We were getting together on the weekends, every weekend. But the baby boomers got grown and we left those family traditions along the wayside. Some of us did. I know some families still get together like that every weekend, and I admire those people because our family does not. And it's sad. I miss those days, and I really wish we could have gave that to our Gen X kids. They know about family and they have value, but the bond and the connection isn't the same. So that's an issue. And I wonder how we can get that back. But anyway, why do we have the issues? It starts with one person may say something or do something that another person doesn't like. and there it is. And then it just festers because it's not addressed. And then you have two people that may have been like this, and now they're slowly like that. So it's called a grudge, holding grudges. And that is not good. It doesn't serve anybody any purpose, any good intentions. So we need to address that. And I know people that haven't spoke to each other in 5 years or more. They probably forgot about what they were mad about. But how do we fix that? What I think is that communication. Communication can bring healing, and that's what's needed. If one person would just take a step and try and communicate, just make the first move. You know, sometimes you got to be the bigger person. Um, and a lot of times, people, you know what? I found out that people have felt some sort of way about me, and I didn't know anything about it. And I didn't know anything about it. So, what good is it was if somebody mad at you and you don't even know? It's not even on your radar, and they're walking around swell up. But anyway, once you come into the knowledge that they have a problem, maybe if they have not came to you with it, maybe you should go to them, you know, and just try and get a little peace or understanding, you know, so you can get back on board with doing the family things in the family way and the connection. Because guess what? The millennials are watching, Gen X are watching. So we gotta be the bigger person sometime and try and assist in healing each other. Now, I'm not saying that people can't be wrong and be mad. I have somebody mad at me right now. They did something to me, but yet they're mad at me because I told somebody else, and then somebody else I told confronted them. They were wrong, and it was my business to tell. But anyway, if we just try and come together and have a conversation, because I'm not upset or mad or anything, and I'm open. So maybe I should be the person because that is what I'm talking about coming together, right? So if I'm, I'm not saying that you should go on bended knee and you didn't do, and you know you didn't do anything, but at least have a conversation and let them have a opportunity from their point of view to let you know what you supposedly have done. Sometimes you just have to agree to disagree. And that's a way of resolving and starting the healing process. Maybe sometimes relationships aren't meant to be the same, and relationships change, and that's perfectly fine. So I wouldn't suggest that anybody go on bended knee when you haven't done anything. And even after talking to the person, if they let you know that what you did was not so big, maybe their feelings are just hurt. And you could just apologize. Maybe that's all it takes. I think it would not hurt you to apologize for something if someone is telling you that you hurt their feelings. So apologize so you can move on and do better. And just be careful because you don't want to have a grudge that gets deep rooted and now it passes down to the kids. And, I just, but anyway, now that we had got to the real nitty gritty of the issue of people not speaking, and that's the, I don't know, that's the uneasy part of being family. So let's get back to the easy part, the good times. On the weekends, I used to love the weekends. So I'd like to know, what did you guys do on the weekends? What were your Saturdays like? Did you get together with family? Did you have game night? What was it like for you? Leave it in the comments. Share your stories. We like to see what's going on with you. Okay. Now, a lot of the traditions that we grew up with, they have changed over time. And that's okay because a lot of times traditions need to change as far as get tweaked a little bit out of growth and necessity. And that's okay. A lot of things change because of the times that we're in, and they change for the better. We can go more places. Um, Back in the 50s and 60s and even early 70s. Right now, today, in some places that we'd rather not go, but it's a lot of places that we can go now that we definitely couldn't have went in the 60s or 70s, 50s or 60s or 70s. So that would be a reason that one reason that traditions would change. And again, that would be perfectly fine. So, what kind of things that you would change if you had to change a family tradition to make things better um, for the next generation? Seeing how they missed out, some of them missed out on how we grew up. You know, leave it in the comments, share it with us. We'd like to know. Okay. A lot of times we have our grandparents, great grandparents, they have family traditions where they pass down trinkets from generation to generation to generation. And I don't know how many movies I've seen where the guy proposes to the girl and he says, "This was my grandmother's ring." Do they still do that? I don't know. But I think that's a good tradition to have. Well, you know what? The necklace that I wear, this one, this was my mom's pendant. And my mom passed away, and now I wear it. I never take it off. So this will be something that I pass down. So I guess I'm going to start a new family tradition because I'll pass this down to my oldest daughter. And then I guess she'll pass it down, and so on and so forth. Okay. So we're just about ready to wrap up on this family tradition. We talked about the good times, going to grandma's house for Sunday dinner, you know, getting together on holidays, and the things that gave us our foundation and bonded us together as family and gave us connections. And we also talked about conflicts and resolution and healing from the conflicts. So I'm not saying that family will not have arguments and conflicts, but we have to be ready to come back together, and settle things for the good of the family, because everybody needs their family at some point or another. And then you never know who you might be. So, you know, just try and stay copacetic and be open to change and be open to forgiveness. Okay. Well, I thank you for joining us this evening. I'm so happy that you chose to spend your time with us. And next week, you don't want to make it, you don't want to miss next week. We're going to be talking about grief. If I mean means losing a relative, a parent, a sibling, or a spouse. We'll be talking about it. So until then, my name is Elle, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And I will see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to The Real Nitty Gritty. If today's episode resonated with you, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with fellow boomers who appreciate a good story and meaningful conversation. Stay connected with us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Remember, every story adds a stitch to the rich tapestry of our generation. Until next time, keep sharing, keep laughing, and keep living the real nitty gritty. Thank you for tuning in to The Real Nitty Gritty. If today's episode resonated with you, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with fellow boomers who appreciate a good story and meaningful conversation. Stay connected with us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Remember, every story adds a stitch to the rich tapestry of our generation. Until next time, keep sharing, keep laughing, and keep living the real nitty-gritty.